Hey guys, I want to give you an update when it comes to Lyft and the upfront pricing and possibly them getting rid of the upfront pricing so that they can give you the rate card with your rides with no upfront details. So it looks like this was either some kind of bug or it was some kind of glitch potentially or some kind of test. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what you think. But today I have had several people send me screenshots where they are still getting upfront pricing. I have not experienced this, and this is only for the higher platform. So Lux Black XL. This was not for standard Lyft, which makes me think that this was either some kind of test or maybe it was going to be a long-term test to see how drivers appreciate or would prefer to have no upfront details, but to go back to the rate card. I know there were some people telling me, hey, I want upfront details and I want to go back to the rate card so I know where I'm going. Fair enough. I agree. I would love that too, but I would give up knowing where I'm going to have better pay on any ride that I take. And I personally prefer longer rides, but it is what it is. So this was something where, so these rides where there was no upfront details, but they were paying out at the rate card was happening in multiple areas. I don't know if this was the entire Lyft platform, but I know it was happening in multiple areas because we have the Discord group where we discuss these things. And Brandon from the Chicago Lux Driver channel, he had one of these pings come in, accepted the ride, and saw the rates. I'm gonna see if I can put that right there. And then I got a couple of the rides and I was wondering why the details weren't there, but I was in the middle of a ride for Uber, so I couldn't really accept it to see what was going on. So there was more than one person that experienced this across multiple states. So the Chicago Lux Driver, obviously in Chicago, and I'm in LA, California. So it looks like this morning I've received several messages showing that upfront details were still there. This was on a Lux Black. So I don't know. For me, I think this was possibly a test. I think it's suspicious that this only came for higher platform rides. And yeah, I mean, if it was on basic rides, I think everybody would have noticed, and it would have been a much bigger kind of a uproar. And when upfront pricing came in the first place, it started out on regular rides, and then eventually, silently, came out on higher platform rides. So I find that curious. I want to see what's going on. I'm hoping that this might be a test to maybe come into a change. Maybe we get rate card and we get upfront details. I would love that, but it is what it is because the rides right now are paying terrible. And actually, some of the people in the Discord group, which I'll leave the link for that down in the description. But some of the people have been saying that, you know what? The funny thing is, Lux rides don't get taken. Even at big events and things like that, there are people that have only up to Lux, right? But most of the cars that people have Lux and then Lux Black. Why would you accept a Lux ride when you can get a Lux Black? It just doesn't make any sense. So it's one of those limbo area rides that only gets taken, every so often. Now the value of those rides is drastically reduced. In most cases, it's not paying per minute, at least that's my requirement. I want a Lux ride that's paying per minute, not per mile, per minute, because I live in Los Angeles and it takes way more time to travel 1 mile, than a minute. So if I'm not getting paid for my time, it makes no sense. I think Lux should be at $60 an hour or higher rate. And unfortunately, it's not. And a lot of the times I will get these rides with Lux, let's say it's a short ride or whatever, and it'll be paying $3 or $4 less than how long the ride's going to take in comparison to a standard ride. And then same with Lux Black. I've been seeing Lux Black pings coming in at Lux prices, which is just crazy to me. So, and then now I'm starting to see standard rides coming in at like between $15 and $20 an hour rate. It's insane. Consistently. And this is on both Uber and Lyft. So it's literally so bad that even last night I didn't make as much as I intended to make. Last night I think I made $100, and I kept rejecting rides because most of the rides were coming in under my minimum, which is $30 an hour rate. So, and then on top, you know, besides that, we've also got the areas that I don't want to drive to, right? I don't want to drive too far. But last night, because some of the rides came in at my minimum or higher, like one ride came in at like $44 an hour rate, right? So $44 an hour rate, taking me all the way to, what was it? Placenta in California. So from Los Angeles all the way to Placenta. And then I had to drive, I almost went all the way to Coachella, which is about two and a half hour drive, you know? So that paid out of $50. So it took about an hour drive, and then I couldn't get a ride back, or there was a few rides that came in that could have taken me back, but the pay was terrible. $25 an hour rate, or per mile, it was only paying 50 something cents. And I've talked to Vinny Cuz. You can check out his channel, and I've talked to Jeff from Uber Jeep AZ about this, where when we talk about and compare rides and how we determine whether or not we're willing to accept a ride, right? When we talk about rides and what we're willing to accept, they look at rates per mile usually, and then Jeff, he tries to make sure that he makes $20 every 30 minutes, which is great. I mean, and fortunately for his market, a decent amount of Lux rides come in. But in Los Angeles, because it's so spread out, it's weird. Sometimes Lux rides come in, sometimes they don't. And on basic rides, it's almost impossible to keep up with that. And then on top of it, they're not giving us any bonuses or bonus zones on the map. So it's causing a pileup of poor rides on top of unreasonable rates. And on Lyft, it is more consistent that you will get bad rates and bad rides in comparison to Uber, but Uber has brought itself way down as well. It's significantly worse trying to parse through rides, and you can cherry pick as much as you want, but eventually an hour goes by and you haven't made anything because you're not willing to accept the bad rides. Now, partially, I believe you have to trade in the algorithm, but partially sometimes if you need to make money, what are you gonna do? You're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So it's really interesting where we're going. The rates seem to be much worse over the last 2 weeks that I've been noticing. Of course, I haven't been able to drive my own car, so I haven't been able to drive my own car. I'm using Uber X a lot more than I normally do, and then, you know, I've been kind of just limited in how I can maneuver because I don't have access to my Lux Black, which I normally drive. And I mean, look at my shirt. I wear this. I choose Lyft as a branding because Lyft tends to pay more and gives me more options for the vehicle that I drive. I drive a Tesla Model Y, and I'm not getting paid Tesla Model Y money driving for Uber because they have all kinds of, you know, crazy requirements for Lux Black instead of, you know, having Premier here in Los Angeles. So anyway, I just want to know what you guys think about this whole thing with the upfront pricing. Do you think that this was a test and they're going to implement using it, not only Lyft, but then Uber to follow suit and have upfront pricing removed and then maybe go back to rate card? Or do you think maybe they will remove details on the ride and they won't take us back to rate card? We'll just have poor rates. I actually had somebody test this over in San Bernardino, I believe it is. They showed me a ride where they got no upfront details on Uber, but the rate was much better on Uber. And like I said, for me, that's pretty nice. I'd rather have no details and have better pay. But let me know down in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video.